So much has changed since last Easter. The world has been shaken. Life has been disrupted. What we once called normal seems like it may never return. It's been easy to be discouraged, to lose hope, to feel the foundations of our faith begin to crumble. It's hard to keep our feet planted when the ground beneath feels like shifting sand. Now more than ever, we need to stand on the truth of Easter, a day which changed our eternity, changed our world forever. Death was defeated by life. Sin was consumed by mercy. The grave was swallowed up by victory. See, even in the darkest of moments, the love of Jesus could not be stopped. His faithfulness could not be broken. And when the dust settled, Jesus, he stood alive and victorious. Today, may we remember the truth of Easter, the power of the resurrection, and the promise of eternity. Yes, the world has been shaken, but the grave, it's still empty. And Jesus, he's still risen.
Thank you for the cross, Lord. Thank you for the price you paid, bearing all my sin and shame. In love you came and gave amazing grace. Thank you for this love. Thank you for the nail-pierced hands, washed me in your cleansing flow. Now all I know, your forgiveness and embrace. Worthy is the Lamb, seated on the throne. Crown you now with many crowns. You reign victorious, high and lifted up. Jesus, Son of God, the darling of heaven crucified. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb. Thank you for the cross, Lord. Thank you for the price you paid, bearing all my sin and shame. In love you came and gave amazing grace. Thank you for this love, Lord.
Grace is God's unmerited favor for us, His crazy love. And the truth is, many times we struggle understanding it. If you find yourself struggling to understand God's grace, don't beat yourself up. Even the disciples struggled with understanding grace.
Jesus, is that you? You're alive. I can't believe you're alive. Okay, I was in the boat and I wasn't catching any fish, okay? But I heard this voice and the voice said, cast your net to the other side. And so I'm thinking, I'm a fisherman, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not catching any fish, you know? And so I throw that net over there and then a gaggle of fish pop into that net and I'm going, this is a total miracle. Who could have done that? I need to know who told me to throw the net to the other side. And boom, I look up and I mean, there is you. You're looking at me on the seashore going, it is I, the Lord, and you're alive. I can't believe you're alive. This is awesome. Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Yes, I love you. I love you. You're alive. This is so great.
Good, then feed my sheep.
Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on, man. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
I love you, yes. And I'm so sorry about that rooster clucking. I had no idea what that meant, but I do now. I'm better for it, all right? Okay?
Then feed my sheep.
Andrew, I'm smiling, but I'm serious. Come on, get out of the boat. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Jesus, mere words cannot describe the passion that I have for you. I love you. You know everything. I love you.
Good. Good. Then feed my sheep.
I didn't even know you had livestock. That is so like you, though. There's something new about you all the time. That's what I love about you.
Peter,
Yeah.
do you remember the morning the ladies went to the tomb?
Yeah. We're all in the upper room trying to figure out what to do next, you know, because we thought you were dead. You know, you were dead, you know, and we're trying to figure all that out, you know. And Mary comes running up, and Mary's like saying, beehive, beehive, beehive. And I'm thinking, I'm allergic to bees. Like, keep them out, you know what I'm saying? But as she kept getting closer, I heard her correctly. She was saying, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. And we're going, who's alive, who's alive? And she said, she was at the tomb, and the tomb was empty, and she said that there was an angel there, and the angel said, go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay, he is risen. And so me and John, we hightailed it down there, and if John says he beat me, he's totally lying, all right? I beat him, FYI, all right, you know? And we get down there, and I'm looking in that tomb, and it is empty. There's nothing in there, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And John is right there. John is so good with words. He should write a book. He is so good with words. And John said, don't you get it, Peter? This is everything Jesus said he was going to do, and you did it, and it's done. Let's go. This is so great.
Wait,
Yeah.
the angel said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay. He is risen. You've risen. Let's go.
He said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter. Go tell the disciples and Peter. You said my name. Why did you say my name?
Peter, that's grace.
No, I don't deserve that, because that night people kept coming up to me asking me if I belonged to you, if I was with you, and I kept denying you left and right, all right? No, it'll take me my whole life to make up for what I did. It was unforgivable for what I did.
No. What I did on the cross was meant to take what is unforgivable and make it forgivable. That's my grace. It's not about you. It's always about me. That's grace, Peter.
And can it be that I should gain an
Good morning. Today we celebrate Easter Sunday. Now, the way people celebrate varies a lot from country to country, from church to church. But one thing we see, even among non-Christians, will be Easter eggs, usually made of chocolate and usually distributed by a rabbit. I've had a lot of trouble understanding that idea, but I still like the eggs, especially the chocolate ones. Last Friday was called Good Friday, although I still have trouble thinking of that day as anything but good. In preparing his disciples for what was about to happen, Jesus told them a story about a king who went to a far country to receive his crown. In his absence, he gave 3 of his trusted servants about a month's salary each, and he told them, "Take this, put it to work for my name's sake." Well, it was a test, of course, to see which of his servants he could trust to rule with him when he came back. And it doesn't take much to see how the story applies to you and to me. We remember the great celebrations that day with people laying down palm branches in the road, much like a red carpet. But the mood changed quickly, though, as Jesus tried to explain to his disciples what would happen soon. When the disciple Peter said, "No, this will never happen to you," Jesus reminded him gently, before the night was over, Peter would deny 3 times that he even knew his master. And for the next 3 days, Jesus suffered the pain and humiliation of arrest, torture, and crucifixion. The night before, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus prayed, "Please, please take this cup from me." But even as he prayed, he finished with those precious words, "Yet not my will, but thy will be done." Soon after, his accusers came, whereupon Peter drew a knife and attacked one of the servants, cutting off an ear. From Matthew 26:53, we see Jesus' response, "Stop it. Don't you know that I could call 12 legions of angels who would come and rescue me?" Now, if you've ever contemplated the kill power of an angel, you might want to have a look over to 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 35, where a single angel made short work of 185,000 Assyrians in a single night. There are many things to think about in regards to Easter, but I think one word keeps coming back to me. Why? Why was all this necessary anyway? I mean, surely such a horrible event could have been avoided by the God who created the world and everything in it. I mean, couldn't he just have spoken a word like he did at creation? Or like in the book of Revelation, that verse where we're told God will announce with a word the end of this time. Couldn't God have just said something and made everything right? Well, I have no doubt that he could have done just that. Just like the master potter who discovers a flaw in his work and smashes it back on the wheel and sets out to make something a little less rebellious. But the fact that he chose not to do that says something about God, and it says a lot about us. From his position outside of time and space, God does not need the process of development to make something complete. This tells me that the process we see leading up to Easter is not for God's benefit, but for ours. And what do we see in the Bible's record? We see 77 generations of people trying and failing to live up to even the most basic of requirements that would bring us back to a right relationship with God. And then we see Jesus repeating again and again the message of love from his Father. And time and again, the message was misunderstood and rejected. Even his own family had trouble accepting it. Even his own disciples had trouble putting it into practice. And when the moment of betrayal came, it was not from an enemy of Jesus, but from one within the inner circle itself, from one who was considered to be a friend. There's a well-known songwriter by the name of Michael Card. And he asked the question in a song called Why? The first verse goes like this: why did it have to be a friend who chose to betray the Lord? And why did he use a kiss to show them that's not what a kiss is for? Only a friend can betray a friend. A stranger has nothing to gain. And only a friend comes close enough to ever cause so much pain. It's pretty obvious, I think, to say that only a friend can betray a friend. The word betrayal itself assumes a level of trust that's been broken. The fact that Jesus was betrayed to his enemies by Judas, one of his trusted disciples, it should cause us to stop and consider. The most terrible hurt we can experience is the hurt that is inflicted by a friend, a loved one, a family member, someone who knows us and yet chooses to hurt us. But the pain of our Savior felt that day was necessary. It was necessary for us to understand the depth of our sin and our need for forgiveness. The second verse of the song speaks of that need. He sings, why did it have to be a thorny crown placed upon his head? It should have been a royal one, made of jewels and gold instead. But you see, pain is a necessary part of our lives. It's never far away, sometimes as close as the tips of your fingers. To never experience pain would be a disaster, because without it, we would never know when danger comes near. Pain provides us with an early warning system, telling us in just the appropriate intensity that we're getting too close to the stove. And here is the unique thing about us. Experiencing pain helps us to avoid the danger that's all around us. But we can also learn from observing the pain in someone else. This was the reason God commanded the very first people to make a sacrifice as a part of worship. God was saying to them, you have sinned against me. You have made poor choices. And those decisions will bring disaster upon you and everyone you love. And to help you understand how serious this is, I want you to take an animal, a sheep, a cow, something that has done nothing wrong. And then with everyone gathered around, kill that animal and sprinkle its blood around the altar. That must have been a terrible thing to witness. But it must have succeeded in helping people understand the problem of sin. In fact, some people in history have carried that idea even farther. They've said, well, if an animal sacrifice would help, then maybe a human sacrifice would be even better. At the same time animals were being sacrificed at the temple in Jerusalem, there were others nearby, within walking distance, who worshipped a god named Baal. And according to what they were taught, if they would only kill their firstborn child and then offer it to the god Molech, Baal would bless them with many more children and a good life. And they bought it. To say that God was very angry to see this would be a gross understatement. In Jeremiah 32:35, God says, they built the high places of Baal in the valley of the son of Hinnom to offer up their sons and daughters to Molech, something I did not command them, nor did it enter my mind that they should do this abomination, causing Judah to sin. Finally, with the coming of Easter, God said, no more. Stop sacrificing. Jesus has become the perfect sacrifice once and for all. And this is why we don't kill sheep and goats here for Sunday worship. We don't have to. Observers of the Jewish faith would do it. They would do it if only they had a proper temple. Unfortunately for them, the proper place today is occupied by a mosque. So they're stuck, waiting for the Messiah, who in fact has already come. As Christians, what we need to do is to look to Jesus and understand what He has done for us already. And this is why we remember Easter. I thought the third verse of Michael Card's song was especially interesting. Why did it have to be a heavy cross he was made to bear? And why did they nail his hands and feet? His love would have held him there. But listen carefully. It was a cross, for on a cross a thief was supposed to pay. And Jesus had come into the world to steal every heart away. In Matthew 24, Jesus describes His coming as a thief in the night. The first time I read that, I was shocked to think that Jesus would compare Himself in any way to a thief. But then I remembered the third temptation Satan offered to Jesus out there in the desert. Remember? Beginning with verse 8 of Matthew 4, we read this. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to him, all of these I will give you if you fall down and worship me. Jesus said to him, away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only Him. Now, on one level, what Satan is saying is simply a lie. I mean, the earth is God's. He made it. He controls it. And in His time, He will remake it. But as usual, Satan takes an element of truth and then twists it to his advantage. Because of sin, the world has been given over to this prince of darkness. Now the world and all who dwell in it are subject to the one who brings pain and suffering and death to the world. Negotiation is out of the question, since neither Satan nor man would honor any agreement for long. To simply cancel the law and render Satan's claim null and void on sinners, that was also out of the question, since God would never go against His own word. No, what was needed was a raid, a strike at the heart of the problem. What was needed was a plan where man remained condemned by his sin, but could defer the payment for that sin to another. Only one could carry that out, and that is the only man who committed no sin, Jesus Christ. So it's all quite legal in the eyes of God. You and I are condemned by our sin, but Jesus can take the punishment for us. And that's just what He did on Calvary. So the claim is legal, but you can be sure that Satan is going to cry foul. Even now, Satan is complaining that he's been robbed. And wasn't it interesting that Jesus died the death of a thief, and in the dying snatched a world of convicted sinners from the jaws of hell? Today we live in a world where it is appointed once to die. And it's an appointment that each and every one of us is going to keep. As the end of our life approaches, I can guarantee that Satan will be making a claim for us. That person has broken the very laws that you yourself made, Satan will say. Just look at him. He's pathetic. He's a sinner. He deserves nothing from you except eternal damnation. And somewhere in the midst of his tirade, Jesus is going to command him to be silent. His eyes will fall on you, an old shell of your former self, rap sheet a mile long, full of rebellion, selfishness, greed, and somewhere on that list, a record of the time you gave it all to Jesus, accepted His offer of love and forgiveness, and from that point on tried your dead level best to be what He had created you to be. And with Satan standing by in indignant fury, Jesus will smile to Himself and say, no, this one is mine. That is the miracle of Easter. And that is why we celebrate. So, enjoy the season. Enjoy the chocolate. But above all, remember what it all really means. And when you go to bed tonight, pray this prayer, will you? Thank you, Jesus, for what you did at Easter. Thank you for being here now. And in words that I've been taught since childhood, pray, and if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. God bless you. Thank you.